Welcome to Film Rage at the Calgary International Film Festival. Today we are talking with award-winning director of 7 Beats Per Minute and the short film Thorn, Yuqi Kang. Hello, Yuqi, and welcome to Film Rage.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
We could not be more excited. Visually, your film is just so beautiful, just so beautiful. I think people could probably just turn off the sound and just watch it for its beauty. So yes, thank you for joining us. We can't thank you enough. One of the things we like to do to keep our directors loose and free and not stressed about these interviews, because I'm sure you do 100 million of them every day, all the time, is we do this thing called OR. So I'm going to ask you questions, and all you've got to do, and you can answer it however you want, with the one thing I ask you or the other.
Okay.
You ready? The first few are pretty easy. So
okay.
Coffee?
I guess I am.
Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
All right. So making it easy for you. New York or LA?
New York.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah, that's also me. So, okay. Free diving or scuba diving?
Free diving.
Okay.
In a heartbeat.
All right. We're going to hear more about that in a minute. Now, being a local Calgarian, this will definitely define where you hang out more. The Plaza or the Globe?
The Globe. Okay.
That's also where we hang out most times, so we'll probably see definitely a lot more there. This one, these are both, for our listeners, if you're not aware, these are both documentary filmmakers. Werner Herzog or Wang Bing?
Werner Herzog.
Okay.
I grew up on his films.
Yes, so did we.
Yeah.
We have him currently as undoubted on our list of undoubted directors, so...
Yeah, but I had just had a lunch with Wang Bing during CIFF.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know I should say this.
Well, he might not listen to this.
He
so
doesn't listen to us. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he won't be offended.
Okay.
But I don't think Werner Herzog listens to us either, so.
All right, so let's just jump right in. Where did you meet Jesse, and what drove you to make this documentary?
Yes, so I am an amateur freediver. I trained in freediving and just getting the curiosity of the sports to my personal interests. And as I was learning freediving, there are only a handful of world champions around the world. And Jessie was at that time, the most notable champion Chinese female freediving athlete. She has a huge follower in China. So I just kind of reached out to her on social media, and then the conversation got rolling. I saw her next few days in another city, and we got connected that way.
Nice. And sounds like you're pretty fast friends.
Yes. I mean, once she replied me over the social media, she said, hey, I'm going to be in Shanghai. I was in Beijing. I said, oh, great. I'm going to buy a train ticket. And I jumped on the overnight train. And the next day I'm in Shanghai, and we were going to grab a coffee, but we talked until the stores are all closed. The streets are all dark. And really, we just get along. I think we clicked instantly. And there was something instinct for me. I know I'm really excited to tell her story.
Nice. So obviously this doc was about Jessie, but how hard was the decision to involve yourself as a kind of a subject in her story?
It was really hard, even at this stage, knowing sharing the film that also included a little my journey in there as well. But I really just realized it is necessary. My old way is that I want to be an observer of somebody's life, trying to be as behind the lens as possible. But with this film, ultimately, we filmed over the course of 6 years, and there were a lot of times just me following her by myself. And I realized like my participation filming the documentary in her life takes courses of changes in her life, and also she influenced me in my personal lives and my growth as well. So ultimately, I have to come to the truth and be part of this story in 7 Beats.
Yeah, and you kind of talk a little bit about that in the film. Like it's kind of injected in there a little bit so that people get a real. Because I imagine, have people asked you this before, or has it sort of come up again and a little bit, or?
Definitely, I think this is like a very unique dynamic. I remember like a very good friend of mine, a programmer for 20 years, said it's like a very unique to see this kind of dynamics happening when you are filming somebody else, making a documentary about somebody else. Usually they see this kind of dynamics when you're making a film about your family members. And I think that's true. Like Jesse and I are both single child, so we don't have brothers, sisters. And being in this, like we're both adults, but just like sharing this kind of a extensive, lifetimes together really made us become like almost like families. So I think that question comes up a lot, and this is like the reason why eventually I became part of Jesse's story.
Yeah, and it's almost like, you weren't born with this sister, but apparently you've now got a chosen one.
Yeah.
So after seeing Thorn and 7 Beats a Minute, I sense that family is playing a huge, huge part in your creative process. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because both of them, it's like, it's family. Like it breathes family.
Mm-hmm. I think like the inspiration from Thorn is really from the 6 years working with Jesse and reflecting on how family and your parents and the initial childhood experience shapes people, and that becomes something I really want to explore in my next films. That's why I pitched to Canadian film centers and rewrote a script on the mother-daughter dynamics. And I don't know what's the theme in my work. I just always need to do what I'm most interested in at the time. So this time, I just really want to get deep with families and with parent-children relationships. That's why.
It's funny how it manifests as a horror film in the short, though. So that's well done.
Yeah. I mean, my dream it's a wild dream, but I want to make horror films one day, just many, many horror films that are very scary.
Oh.
So why not do a short on a horror?
You're going to be guaranteed to have us as followers for life then, absolutely. Our two favorite genres, well, 3, is horror films, documentaries, and international films. So
wow, that's my favorite genre as well.
Yeah, there you go. So you know what? You're now our favorite director. So keep going.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
So you say that you've been free diving. How deep did you go?
I think when I was training continuously for a period of time, the deepest I went is 32 meters.
That sounds impressive to me.
Yeah. Well, and obviously we saw the numbers in the film, but what is now the deepest? Are you up to date on what, as of this morning, what is the deepest anyone has ever gone?
I think there are different disciplines. So there are freedivers using different device. Went down to 200 meters in the past. But they have a elevation kind of a device. The device takes them down, and there's an air balloon take them out. Those are extremely dangerous. In the past days, people started dying. So that discipline has been completely, squashed from the competitive sports. Right now, with one single breaststroke, I think 132 or 33 meters is the current world record, which is very, very deep.
Wow. Like that just blows my mind, actually. It just literally does. Like, wow.
It is. Humanly, it's so hard to imagine, they can do that without taking any extra oxygen source.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. So obviously there's a lot of emotional feelings that go through this film as Jessie is going through her spiritual awakening through this doc. What, we talk a little bit about the family dynamic, but what impact did it have on you and your spiritual awakening, I guess, as being a participant?
Definitely. I think Jessie's experience is not a singular experience. It's very much a common among the kids grow up in my generations. Either verbal or physical violence. Those are just how parents raise their kids up. So before I met Jessie, I never knew those things were harmful for us. I never, even took the chance to look back at my childhood experience. So because she had that awakening through her accidents, she keeps talking about it and make me to think over those experiences. What has that done to me, and what does that mean for my future? Do those things still impact my day-to-day life? And that really opened it up another conversation, even go back to my parents and stuff. I think that was just a gift that Jessie handed to me and to many other audiences.
Yeah, for sure. It does put the feels into you, for sure. Absolutely.
So what exactly are the responsibilities involved in being one's safety buddy in freediving?
Yes, so being a safety buddy for a freediver, meaning I have to guide her safely back to the water. So when Jessie tells me a depth she's gonna go down, I need to count the times when I'm gonna meet her in usually 1/3 of the way of her entire dive. And the dangers usually with freedivers happens around the surface, around the 20 meters, where when the body comes up, the pressure starts to release, your lungs start to open up, and then that's when the lung suddenly tells you there's no more oxygen. People pass out that way. So every time I dive with Jessie, I calculate her dive time. I need to grab on hold the ropes in case of any accident. There won't be vibration. That's when, if I continuously don't see her come up, that I have to release a counterbalance that a weight will pull her up from deeper, depth. But I always dive down around 25 meters, hang around there, wait, and I will see her slowly come up, and I will look into her eyes face to face, just checking she's not having any signs to pass out. And then when she comes out of the water, keep an eye on the divers until they really start to awakening from the whole diving experience.
Wow. Yeah. There's got to be closeness there.
Intense.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that happening during those dives. You see all kind of things going wrong, or people pass out, or they need to be resuscitated. It's very common, but I think as a job of safety diver, you really need to be there, be present, and stay calm. If I become panicking, my voice is not welcoming, I'm yelling, screaming her name, she probably wouldn't wake up. We need to be as supportive, as calm in those moments, handling those situations for the divers.
Nice. The question that I was going to ask you, you kind of already asked, but how did horror come from? What, as your first narrative film to do a horror film, is it your love of horror from the past, or how did you fall in love with horror, I guess?
I grew up watching a lot of age-appropriate films, I guess, because in China, a lot of free time. That time, internet wasn't like a big thing, so there was like a DVD shops, and I just there's like this owner. I love horror and just keep recommending me different horror films, and I got so addicted to it, and my tolerance grew bigger and bigger. So that's the first thing I really love as a child, horror films, and mostly like Asia, Japanese, Korea, and Hong Kong horrors.
Yes,
those are
those are our favorites as well. What was your gateway film? Like what was the film that you went, oh my God, why am I not watching this? Can you
gateway?
Think?
You mean like the ones that really stick with me?
Yeah, from your early, like for me, I can tell you my first horror film that I fell in love with is Dawn of the Dead, the original, and for me that like it kind of built the basis for my love of body horror. So I don't know, Bryce, what was your favorite as a kid?
Yeah, I don't know.
Was it Friday the 13th? He was a slasher fan, so.
Yeah, when I was a kid, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
do you have one?
Do you have one that was like, that was the one that you remembered loving the first time?
I think like the Ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I read all the like novels as well. That was the ghost stories are my favorite.
Okay. And Korean and Japanese ghost stories are definitely the best.
They do it right.
And I guess for clarity for our listeners, when you say the Ring, I'm assuming you mean Ring U, not the Ring as in the American version of Ring U, correct?
No. The Japanese version.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer, I think.
Yeah, it really kept me like stay awake for many years, having nightmares.
Yes. So, do you have any plans for a feature-length narrative at some point?
Yes, actually, I'm getting into development with my producing partner from some Calgary production company.
Excellent.
We're gonna get into development.
Nice. So you've got a script, you've got plans, or you know what it's going to be about. I mean, obviously you can't probably share with us, but you're ready to go. Like, we're going to get this for next festival, right?
Hopefully. I mean, you always start with the idea, I will make the film next year, and 5 years later,
stuff happens.
6 years later, you've become a free diver and you're living in Hawaii.
Yeah, so at some point I thought about maybe I should become a realtor, go to somewhere.
Nice.
How did you get connected to NFB?
NFB, after I finished my first film, so I already connected with the NFB producers. So when I was working on this film, I really thought I could bring this film to NFB. And that time, Anita Lee is in Toronto office, and somebody brought the film to her. And she's a really groundbreaking producer, and that she really believed in the story and in me. That's how she brought me into the NFB, brought this story to NFB.
Yeah, wow. As a Canadian, NFB is it's so important to our culture. Right? Like it just really is. Films that a lot of us grew up on wouldn't be there without NFB. So yeah, we're thankful that you guys met for sure.
Yeah, so I was saying like when I first immigrated to Canada, everything was new, everything was foreign, and I started to watch a lot of Canadian films, and I started to notice that eyeball logo of NFB. I don't know what that is, but I started to recognize with that logo, it's always a good film, a good like a indie film or animation. Now I know it's NFB, but that was like my first experience, like recognize Canadian cultures.
Yeah, it's a pretty iconic logo, right? Like you think of, you know, internationally known, that logo is just so cool.
Yes, I love that NFB logo.
Nice. So this one's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek question, but is Thorn a little bit of a self-portrait of you and your mom?
I think every film that I do, even my documentaries, like my first one about a little 5-year-old monk lives in a monastery in Nepal, it always had something personal in me. That's why I chose the subject matter. Definitely in Thorn, there's a lot of reflection on mother and daughters. I would say there's a lot of my understanding in mother-daughter relationships that are reflected in the film. But there's also a lot of imaginations and the taking from all the cases studies that's going to get expanded in the future and going to a very, very crazy and wild ending.
Yeah, the ending is brilliant, by the way. I thought the ending was just fantastic.
Thank you. It was I wrote the script in 2 days, and I thought I wanted something a little wild.
Well, nailed it. So this is like, it's a huge feat to have 2 films playing at any film festival. So, you know, we're glad that, you know, we're so heavily involved in CIFF and they're coming. But so are you planning on bringing 3 films? Are you going to do 3 films next year at CIFF? Or as 4, maybe 4. Can you double what you did this year?
Wow. I wish. I think I'm at a place where I realized it was a bad idea. I was last year literally doing 7 Beats and another documentary. I realized, you know, as a creator, you do need a space. You need to set aside. You can't do this. That's never. I think I will be 1 film at a time.
You have 7 projects running at the same time with different shooting schedules. You basically sleep 2 hours a day.
Yeah. And yeah.
No, go. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying like a die from exhaustion probably before any of the films finished.
So is there anything that we haven't asked you that maybe you're burning to tell our listeners and people for CIFF?
No, but I just really want to thank Jessie to be able to, you know, to trust me enough to hand this story to the world of audiences. She always asks me, like, how do I guarantee, you know, when the film release, the world will love her? And I told her I cannot guarantee anything like that for her, but it's really a process for her to travel to film festival and see how people respond to it. Unfortunately, she cannot come to Calgary. She's selling her house and moving another city, but it's really great to see how people respond to her stories when we can travel together. So I want to thank her.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think you should stand outside of the cinema once you go to the screening and just have a questionnaire. On a level of 1 to 10, how much do you love Jessie? And then you can just take that data back to her and say, You know what? You scored a 8.4. Right?
Yeah.
But if it's below 5, then don't give her the data. Just say, you know what? I didn't know. I did. You know, I wish I kind of knew, but you know, anything above 6.
I lost the bag.
Yeah, exactly. No, the data, like it's corrupted, you know, USB, whatever. Okay, so can you tell our listeners, you know, where they can find you and where they can worship you from afar, like we do here at Film Rage?
They can find me on my personal website, yuqikang.com, and also my Instagram is Yuqi Kang. They can find me on Instagram as well.
Awesome, yeah, and we'll post those links in our episode. So, thank you, like, so much for joining us. We're glad to see Calgary films making it into these festivals and just keeping content moving. Your film is shot beautifully, both both films are shot beautifully. And we're so happy that you're going to be doing this for years to come. We can look forward to what you're doing. So thanks, Ragers, for listening. Tickets are available for 7 beats a minute at CIFF. Per minute. Yeah. Did I say a minute? I keep thinking. I don't know why a minute. It's 7 beats per minute at CIFF. And CIFF is found at ciffcalgary.ca. So the first showing is Saturday, September 21st at 6:15 p.m. at Contemporary Calgary Dome. The second showing is Friday, September 27th at 5 p.m. at Chinook Theater 15. And for Thorn, wanting to see some horror and the future of Yuqi, Saturday, September 21st is part of a package at 9 p.m. playing at Contemporary Calgary Dome. Part of the shorts package called Dirty, spelled DIRRTY Shorts. And then, this is something kind of new and creative. It's going to be available for streaming starting September 26th through to the 29th on their Stream Online process.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited too. I want to go see it now after the festival or later in the festival when we got time. We're going to go in and start streaming a bunch of stuff. Find us on social media at both Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Film Rage YYC. Check out everything Film Rage at filmrageyc.com. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and send us emails to filmragecalgary@gmail.com. This has been a super, super special Film Rage episode during CIFF Calgary, where you can find everything at the festival at ciffcalgary.ca. Until next time, rage on.
Rage on. Thank you very much, Yuqi.
Rage on.